It was supposed to be a celebration of infectious joy, until Katy Perry revealed that the woman who made the world smile had been drowning in darkness behind her candy-colored facade. Studio 6B was filled with vibrant anticipation that Tuesday evening. The Tonight Show's blue and gold lights cast their warm glow as the Roots laid down an upbeat, pop-inspired groove. 300 audience members filled every seat, their energy electric with excitement for someone who had soundtracked the happiest moments of their lives. Jimmy Fallon, sharp in his royal blue suit, bounded onto the stage with enthusiasm that matched the colorful energy everyone expected from tonight's guest. "Ladies and gentlemen," Jimmy announced with genuine excitement, "please welcome someone who has brought more joy, color, and pure happiness to the world than almost anyone, the incredible Katy Perry." The applause was thunderous and joyful as Katy emerged from backstage. At 39, she moved with that familiar, playful energy that had made her a global pop icon. Yet there was something slightly more subdued about her presence tonight. Her rainbow-striped dress was perfectly styled in her signature whimsical fashion. Her makeup was flawless with bright colors. And that smile, that famous Katy Perry smile, was present, but somehow seemed to require more conscious effort than usual. She waved to the adoring crowd with characteristic playfulness, her movements animated but carrying an underlying weariness. When she spoke her first words, "Hi, Jimmy," "Hi, beautiful people," her voice carried that familiar brightness, but there was something almost hollow about the cheerfulness. "Katy," Jimmy exclaimed, practically bouncing with admiration, "you look absolutely amazing. I have to say, you are literally the human embodiment of happiness. Every time I see you, every song you release, it's like pure joy in human form." Something flickered across Katy's face at the word happiness, a brief shadow that contrasted sharply with her colorful appearance. "Thank you, Jimmy. That's so sweet," she replied with a smile that seemed painted on. The conversation began smoothly, touching on Katy's latest music, her tour plans, and her thoughts on bringing positivity to the world. Every answer was delivered with practiced enthusiasm, but there was something almost mechanical about her responses, as if she was reciting lines from a script she'd performed countless times. "You know, Katy," Jimmy said, leaning forward with obvious fascination, "one of the things I've always admired about you is your ability to stay so positive, so colorful, so uplifting. In a world that can be pretty dark, you're like this beacon of pure happiness. How do you do it?" Katy's smile became more strained. "Jimmy, that's actually complicated. But that's what makes you Katy Perry," Jimmy continued enthusiastically. "You're the California girl who brings sunshine wherever you go. Speaking of which," Jimmy reached into his jacket with renewed excitement, "I thought we'd celebrate that incredible gift tonight with something fun. I'm calling it the California Girl Happiness Quiz." The audience immediately perked up, excited to learn the secrets behind their idol's infectious joy. Katy's expression became noticeably more tense. "Oh," Katy said with a laugh that sounded forced. "Jimmy, I'm not sure." "It's going to be perfect," Jimmy explained, pulling out colorful cards. "Just some questions about staying positive, spreading joy, being the happy person everyone looks up to." Katy looked at the bright, cheerful cards, and something inside her finally broke. "Jimmy, I need to stop you right there." "What's wrong?" Jimmy asked, his enthusiasm immediately shifting to concern. "Happiness is just a performance for me." The studio fell into complete silence. This wasn't the bubbly pop star they expected to hear from. Jimmy set down the cards and leaned forward, his entertainer's instincts immediately replaced by human concern. "Katy, what do you mean?" Katy looked out at the sea of expectant faces, and when she spoke again, her voice carried a pain that was shocking to hear from someone known for spreading joy. "I mean that for 15 years, I've been performing happiness while dying inside, she said, tears beginning to form in her eyes. Every colorful outfit, every upbeat song, every smile. It's all been a mask to hide the fact that I've been struggling with severe depression. The audience was completely transfixed. This wasn't the Katy Perry they knew from music videos and concert stages. Do you know what it's like? Katy continued, her voice gaining strength as she spoke. To be expected to be everyone's source of joy when you can barely find reasons to get out of bed? To have millions of people looking to you for happiness when you're Googling how to feel alive again at 3 a.m.? The vulnerability in her admission was devastating. Jimmy made a decision that transcended television. He stood up from behind his desk and walked around to sit beside Katy. This wasn't entertainment anymore. This was one human being trying to support another who was clearly struggling with an impossible burden. When did you realize you were struggling? Jimmy asked gently. Probably around 2017, Katy replied immediately. That's when the mask started slipping. I couldn't fake it anymore. Couldn't pretend that singing about fireworks and teenage dreams was enough to keep me from feeling completely empty inside. The pain in her voice was so raw that several audience members were visibly moved. You want to know what my real life looks like? Katy asked, and there was something almost desperate in her question. I wake up every morning and put on this character, colorful, bubbly, positive Katy Perry. But underneath, I'm this gray, exhausted person who feels like she's letting everyone down by being human. Jimmy stayed quiet, letting her continue. I've written songs about feeling like a plastic bag drifting through the wind, about being hot and cold, about all these emotions, Katy said, her voice breaking. But everyone only wants to hear about roaring like lions and feeling like champions. They don't want to hear about the nights I've spent crying in my car after concerts, wondering if this is all I'll ever be. Tears were flowing freely now, and the sight of Katy Perry, the woman who had taught the world to celebrate, crying about her hidden darkness, was profound. The worst part is, Katy continued, I feel guilty about feeling this way, like I'm being ungrateful for this incredible career, this platform, these fans who love me. But love based on a performance isn't really love, is it? It's appreciation for a character I play. The silence in the studio was complete, except for the sound of Katy's quiet sobbing. And my daughter, she said, looking directly at Jimmy, she's going to grow up seeing Mommy as this happy, colorful person. But what happens when she realizes that sometimes Mommy needs to be sad? What happens when the performance doesn't work on her? Katy, Jimmy said with profound gentleness, what if the most beautiful thing you could give your daughter is permission to feel everything, not just happiness, but the full spectrum of being human? But that's not what people want from Katy Perry, she protested. They want the girl who makes them feel good about themselves, who reminds them that life can be fun and bright. When they returned from commercial break, they had a completely different conversation. Katy talked about the pressure to maintain a positive persona, about learning to separate her public image from her private struggles, about slowly finding ways to be authentic while still bringing joy to others. The thing about being known for happiness, Katy said as the interview wound down, is that it becomes a prison. Because if you're the happy one, you're never allowed to be sad, never allowed to struggle, never allowed to be human. Jimmy nodded thoughtfully. But maybe the most courageous thing you can do is show people that it's okay to not be okay, even if you're supposed to be the one who's always okay. Maybe, Katy said, and for the first time in the entire interview, her smile looked completely genuine. Not the practiced performer's smile, but something real and peaceful. Maybe it's time I stopped performing happiness and started living it, which means accepting that sometimes I won't be happy, and that's okay too. The applause that followed was unlike anything The Tonight Show had ever heard. It wasn't appreciation for entertainment. It was recognition of courage, of someone brave enough to remove their mask and show their authentic self. The episode aired exactly as it happened, unedited. The response was immediate and overwhelming. Mental health organizations reported record calls from people inspired by Katy's honesty. Fans around the world shared their own struggles with depression. And Katy Perry, for the first time in years, posted a photo of herself without makeup, looking tired but real, with the caption, "Some days, the California girl feels more like a rainy day, and that's human." But perhaps the most meaningful response came from a teenager who wrote, "Katy, I've been struggling with depression but felt like I had to be happy all the time because that's what everyone expected. After watching your show, I realized that real strength isn't pretending to be okay. It's being honest about when you're not. Thank you for showing me that even pop stars are allowed to be human." It wasn't just late night television. It was a reminder that behind every bright smile might be someone fighting their own darkness, and that the most powerful thing we can do is give each other permission to be authentically, imperfectly, beautifully human.